Hello, my friends. So I just wanted to invite you to watch episode 1 of our 3-part workshop series, The Awakening Body. So in this episode, we go really deeply into what it means to be embodied, what it means to awaken through the body, to heal through meeting the body. It's also, we go into a practice called Bioenergetics. There's a 30-minute practice called Bioenergetics. So this workshop lasts about 80 minutes. And my recommendation is to really give yourself the space for this. I wouldn't just watch it and flick through to different little bits. You need to sit down and treat it as if you're joining the workshop live. That's how you'll get the most out of it. I want to apologize in advance because Zoom only recorded the grid screen. I tried really hard to get them to record the active speaker screen, but obviously something went wrong. So we've only recorded the grid screen and then we've zoomed it in so that the visuals aren't as good as I would have hoped them to be. But the main point is that you can hear us, you can see us at least a bit, and you can follow along with the exercises. So the people who joined live, they seem to really get a lot out of it. So I hope that you guys watching on YouTube will get a lot out of it as well. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side of this video. Thank you. Okay. So can everyone hear me? Great. So welcome to The Awakening Body, 3-part series with myself and my good friend Alex Watson. Alex, I'm going to unmute you for a sec, mate, so you can say hi. Or can you unmute yourself?
Unmute myself. There we go.
Great.
Hey guys, welcome to this series. Good to have you here.
So how it's going to go down, we're going to talk for a few minutes and introduce ourselves, and we're going to explain how we got into this sort of work, this body-based therapy, this body-based way of healing and awakening to a deeper sense of self. And then Alex is going to guide you through a practice, a bioenergetics practice, which lasts about half an hour. And then I'm going to guide you through another practice and talk a little bit about the mechanics of coming back down into the body, how we reconnect with the body, and through to our being, through to a deeper sense of self. And then we'll take some questions. How does that sound? Okay. So I'll start by just telling a little bit about how I got into this, a little bit about my story. When I was 21 years old, I entered into a state of incredibly intense psychological suffering. Almost overnight, I was sort of thrust into this state of psychological suffering, incredibly intense emotions coming up, incredibly difficult, challenging thoughts arising in my mind. And I was 21, just out of school, just started university. I was like, what is going on? How can I deal with this? And so luckily, I found an amazing psychologist called Sandy. And I started working with her, working with my thoughts, trying to change my thoughts in order to make myself feel better. And I was experiencing intense fear, lots of terror, lots of anxiety. And after a few years of trying to change my thoughts around using cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, affirmations, all this good stuff, I was still stuck in a state of fear. I was still suffering. I'd done so much work. I thought I'd done so much work for 3 years. It was all I'd done was try and get over this. And I was still stuck. Until one day, and some of you will have heard this story before, but one day I was watching TV with my family and I started having a panic attack. This had happened hundreds and thousands of times over the last few years. And usually I'd go up into my mind, I'd be caught in it for ages. And this time something different happened. Instead of coming up into my mind, instead of getting lost in the fearful thoughts about the future, something terrible is going to happen to me. Something terrible is going to happen to me. I dropped the whole extent of my attention down into my body. I put all of my attention and all of my awareness down into my body. I didn't know I was doing that. It just kind of happened. And when I did that, something amazing happened. I fully felt all the fear in my body that I'd spent my whole life running away from, and especially those last few years. I fully felt it. And when I fully placed my attention in it, it was accepted by me. And I came out of a state of resistance to it. And I entered into the most sublime state of peace, joy, and love that I hadn't experienced anything like that for my whole life. And it was amazing. And I remember walking outside and I had a thought come into my mind. I'd never been into spirituality. I'd never been into anything like this. I was just a normal 21-year-old English lad, or 23 at that point. I was walking around the garden and I thought, this is what spirituality is. I'd never thought about spirituality before ever in my life. And I knew this was what it was. Because in my willingness to feel the feelings I'd spent my whole life running away from, in my willingness to feel them and reconnect with them, I reconnected with the felt sense of my own being. It was wonderful. It felt like I had returned back home. For all those years, I felt like my soul was missing. My soul had disappeared. And my soul came back. And from that moment on, I knew how to heal. I knew what I needed to do to really come back home to myself, to really become myself. Because for all those years, and my family will attest to this, I'd lost myself. I stopped laughing. I stopped being able to enjoy anything in life. And it felt as if my soul had disappeared. And in that moment, my soul came back. And that started a journey for me back into the body. And I committed wholeheartedly to every time an emotional reaction came up in my body. Instead of escaping into thought, instead of escaping into distraction, I went straight into the body. I went straight into the feeling and I felt it. And I was lucky to have come across a few incredible spiritual guides, incredible spiritual teachers who took me under their wing, and they taught this approach of body-based therapy. And I studied with them for years and years and learned all the different ways in which we can come back into the body. It's very simple, but the mind is quite complicated. So we need to learn lots of different approaches, lots of different ways to reconnect with ourselves. And that is what this 3-part series is about. We're going to give you many of the ways in which you can go on this journey back to your body and back into your being. Because it is the connection with your being which you really want. Every single person on the planet, and especially if you're on the spiritual path, but every single person on this planet wants to know their own being. Because when you feel your own being, when you know your own being, when you're put in touch with your own being, you realize that that is everything you've ever wanted. It is the love you've been longing for. It's the peace you've been longing for. It's the settled sense of goodness inside that you have been longing for. And it is absolutely wonderful. And when you discover it, when you start making this journey back into the body and back to your being, well, life just becomes better and better and better. You become happier and happier and happier. But it's not necessarily an easy path. It's the path for spiritual warriors, because you are called to face everything which you've spent your whole life running away from. It sounds daunting, but it is so, so worth it. And actually, my belief, my feeling is it's the only thing that will bring you true contentment, true fulfillment, and true happiness in this life. So I'm not going to go on for too long. We need to jump into the exercises, and Alex needs to speak. But that was my little introduction. And now I will pass you over to Alex. Thank you.
I almost forgot that I was teaching then, Chris. I was just so engrossed in your story, man. It's it's beautiful to hear, such heart. But yeah, guys, welcome to the Awakening Body series with myself, Alex. I'm going to be diving into some body-based therapy practices, in particular bioenergetics, which is what I'm trained in. But before I get into all that, I'd like to actually explore a little bit what is body-based therapy. Because it's not that well known. You know, traditionally we have psychotherapy, talking therapies, that sort of thing. But when looking at body-based therapy, I like to use the analogy of Sigmund Freud's, if you've seen it, the iceberg. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. The Sigmund Freud's iceberg, where at the top of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, we have the unconscious mind, and then just below the tip we have the subconscious mind. And then right below at the bottom, we have the unconscious mind. And traditionally, with talking therapies and psychotherapy, that sort of thing, or like positive psychology and coaching, NLP, we kind of start at the tip of the iceberg. And that's how traditionally we've worked to free ourselves from that which we're going through. But body-based therapy is a little bit different. So rather than having this top-down approach, body-based therapy is different in the sense that it goes to the bottom of the iceberg. It goes to the unconsciousness, to the repressed emotions, which are deep down inside of the unconscious mind. So this is more of a bottom-up approach. So rather than starting at the top, trying to work our way down, we're going to the bottom and we're working our way up. Now, Freud proposed this notion of an unconscious mind, but a student of his, Wilhelm Reich, which you may have not heard of, is not that, well, he is a little bit famous, but not for the right reasons. He proposed a notion that the body, in fact, is the unconscious mind. So working directly with the body, we are going to work directly on our unconsciousness, on what's really going on. And you know, this comes from a line of psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists, and pretty much all of them agree that it is the repressed emotions that we're dealing with, that we deal with, that cause our problems. You know, there's a saying in therapy that the problem is never the problem. When you attend therapy, that which you're going through is not actually really what we're going through. It's much more deeper, it's much more ingrained, it's much more in the depths of our body, of our muscles, of our fascia, our tissue. So it's much more deeper. What we're going to work with today is actually working on these repressed emotions. So it can be quite deep, it can be quite evocative and intense, but nevertheless, it's good stuff. So I really encourage us to go for it. But just a little bit actually on the topic of repression, so this idea that repression is the root of our problems, basically. Why do we repress? Well, quite simply, that we have an ego or a sense of self or an ideal self, and anything that doesn't quite align with how we see ourselves or how we want to be seen in the world, this kind of ego that we show to people. Not saying an ego is a bad thing, but just this self-image, anything that doesn't align with this ideal self, we repress it, we push it back down. We say, no, thank you, I don't want to feel this. And, we can do this consciously or unconsciously. Just to give an example, maybe if you've been rejected from a job, or you've approached a man or a woman and you felt embarrassed and you've not wanted to show that embarrassment or that anxiety, you push it down because we are constantly trying to present our best selves, which is impossible. We're living in our heads, we're living in a society, we've got parental conditioning, cultural conditioning, and it's difficult to live up to the expectation of what we have for ourselves. So we're just constantly in this state of repression, of pushing things back down. And yeah, also another example, what comes to mind, like women, for example, women are not supposedly allowed to be angry. It's not ladylike. It's not ladylike to be pissed off and to be angry. So quite a lot of women repress this anger because they don't want to show this side of themselves to the world. And, I'm not saying let's all have aggressive women out there, but also like women can be pissed off too, and sitting and squashing this type of stuff, it's going to cause dysfunction. It's going to cause problems up top in the mind where we predominantly live. And also for guys, with guys, we see vulnerability is such a thing. I mean, male suicide is so high, and guys just will not show their vulnerability. They don't want to be seen as weak. So, pretty much most guys, or a lot of guys, certainly guys I've worked with, they are constantly pushing down this side of themselves. They're constantly squashing the heart. And they do that by contracting the muscles. They tighten up, they contract the heart or any part of the body, in fact, and they lock it, they keep it in. This is the same for women also. Maybe some of this resonates, maybe not. But I think what we're going to do today with bioenergetics, or what we are going to do today, I should say, with bioenergetics, is we're going to get in to this repression. We're going to get deep within the body and start working on some of this contraction, some of this holding, what we've got going on. And you may be thinking, I've not got any of this, I'm kind of light, I'm free, I'm okay. But it can be surprising actually what we're sat on and what we're not. Like there is, for the average person, quite a lot of stuff going on. So this is really where we're going to work today. And it's really important that we work on this stuff, in my opinion, because the more we repress, the more we deny these aspects of ourselves, the further up we go, because the body becomes like a dumping ground for all of our sort of repressed feelings, all of our unconsciousness, all the parts of ourselves that we'd rather not look at. We push it back down inside of the body, and the body is filled with all of this, anxiety, nervousness, shame, guilt, low self-esteem, whatever we want to call it. So we retreat and we go further up into our minds. And as we progress through life, this just becomes a habit to live up top, to live purely in our minds. And this is seriously limiting. We meet ourselves in our body, we meet other people in our body, and not just intimately, but of course intimately in terms of like a love relationship, but just meeting people out in the world. Like, I think it's like 7% of communication or interaction is like words. The rest is like the felt sense of the other person. So it's really important that we work on this sort of stuff. And what's brilliant about body-based therapy for me is that it does show results pretty quick. We can dive into this. And as I said at the beginning, we're working on the deepest layer. We really are working on these layers that we've been running from. So anyway, enough of that. I think we should dive into the practice and give you a taste of bioenergetics, and just, guys, really encouraging you here to go for it. It's not going to be super intense and emotionally evocative, but you've taken the time out tonight. It's Thursday evening. You've switched off from the outside world. We're going to practice together. I don't know how many's on this call, but we're all going to be doing it together. So let's take it on and go for it. Now, with bioenergetics, there is 3 elements. We have a stretch. And the reason we stretch in certain ways to open up the body, because many of us are so closed off, or, we're tight in areas that we're not fully aware of. So we put ourselves in a particular stressful type of stretch to activate our muscles, to open them up, to allow these feelings to come up. And that's what we've called the course, the awakening body, open to transformation. So the first part of bioenergetics is we're going to hold a stretch. We're going to be holding several stretches, in fact, not at the same time. The second element is breathing deep through the mouth. Very important. So many people have deep, shallow breathing. They just kind of breathe through the nose or the throat, and it's kind of, we want to be breathing deep into the belly, really filling up our body with oxygen, in and out through the mouth. And while we're doing this, the third element is to feel the body. And you may notice that breathing deep in and out through the mouth allows us to generate more awareness in our body. It takes us out of this conceptualizing, abstract, spiritual realm, whatever, this world of thought, and it allows us to come back into our bodies. And that's what it's about. That's what the journey is. It's all about coming back into the body. I've just realized I never actually said my story, but I'll just quickly touch on it a little bit here. So I was diagnosed with PTSD, insomnia, and a few anxiety disorders. And I'd seen multiple psychologists and psychiatrists, and it was really quite intense for me as a child. I was abused for a lot of years. And it's this work right now that really kind of changed my life. Everything else wasn't working, even down to meditation. I love meditation. I live for meditation now. But at the time, my mind, my body, everything was just such a mess. It was just chaos for me internally. But this practice, what we're about to do, allowed me to reconnect to myself and start to feel into my experience. Anyway, I got veered off a little bit there. So stretches. I'll stand up for this part. You don't have to follow along just yet. You don't also have to remember, because I will be guiding this. But the first posture, can you see me all right, Chris? Yeah. So the first posture is called the bow posture. And we take our feet roughly, a bit more than shoulder width, in fact. We have a slight bend in the knees. It's very important, having that connection to the earth, to the ground. Then the outsides of the feet are roughly parallel, maybe slightly pointed out, just whatever's comfortable. But they need to be a bit more than shoulder width apart with the knees bent. And then we're going to bring our hands, our arms, straight up, reaching up to the sky, back behind our ears. So we're stretching the body out. We're opening up the heart, we're opening up the throat, we're opening up the belly, we're opening up our pelvis, our pelvic floor. So the stretch goes as follows. And as I said, when we're in this posture with bioenergetics, we're continuously breathing deep in and out through the mouth. And very important that we feel the body. This is the journey back to the body, is feeling the body continuously. So as follows. And you may notice that some shaking starts to arise, maybe hot, cold, tingling, whatever it may be. This is usually a good sign. So if that does start to arise, if you get a little bit freaked out, it's usually a good sign. So this is the first posture, the bow posture. And then we're going to transition into the arch. And we're going to bring the feet slightly closer together. So the feet is less than shoulder width apart, bending the knees. The head gets heavy. We're bringing that weight forward into the balls of our feet, keeping that bend in the legs. And then check out with the head, the arms, making sure we're not loose. Making sure we're not holding, so we're nice and loose. And same again, we just start to breathe deep in and out through the mouth, really feeling the body. So we're going to do a few rounds of that. We'll do 6 rounds. So we'll do 3 rounds with the bow posture, 3 rounds with the arch, and then we're going to go into a shoulder sequence with a little bit of release, a bit of emotional release, expression. Not full on catharsis, but yeah. So the first stretch, after we've done the bow and the arch, we're going to bring our shoulders as close as we possibly can. So I'm not locking with my arms. The movement is in my shoulders. And this really helps open up the back part of the body. So here is the energetic heart where we store lots of our pain, lots of our, heartache. So that's the first one. And then we do the counter stretch. I'll turn around for this, where we squeeze as much as we possibly can into our shoulder blades, really squeezing together as much as we can, allowing the muscles to become activated. And same again, breathing deep, feeling the body. Then we're going to go into shoulder raises, lifting the shoulders as high as we can. Trying to get them to touch the ears. It might not be possible, probably not, but just go for it as high as we can. And this is really good for treating anxiety. If we look at the average person that is suffering with anxiety, they tend to have like raised shoulders, and this kind of like scared expression, this not cowering, but hiding away from the world. So really good treatment for anxiety. Then after that, the final part of the 4-part sequence is going to be, we call it teenager release. So we lift the shoulders up, not the arms, we lift the shoulders up and we throw them down. And as we're doing this, we just make a slight sound, like a grunt-like sound, almost like we're pissed off. So, so just allowing that sound. It doesn't have to be a full-on cathartic release, like screaming, shouting, whatever. It's just a and then maybe we'll finish with a little bit of shaking. So we're going to be working on a 2.5-minute ding. If you'd like to stand up, get ready. I'll give you a few minutes. Just have a look at you all. Looking good, guys. Well, the ones that have got the cameras on. Yeah. All right. Chris, just confirm you can hear this ding.
All good, mate. We can hear you. We can hear it.
Cool. Okay, guys, we're starting with the bow posture. Let's go for it. Feet a bit more than shoulder width apart. Hands coming up directly above our head. Tucking my top. And we're pushing the pelvis forward. The chest is out. We're meeting the world. We're allowing our entire front part of the body to open up, and the gaze is straight ahead with the eyes open. Very important. And once you've got the stretch, we start that breathing deep in and out through the mouth. Keep it going. We're staying present in the body, really feeling into our body, feeling into our diaphragm, feeling into the belly, shoulders. Looking good, guys. Keep the stretch going. Nice deep breaths into the belly. And the more we feel, the more we'll heal. The more we'll feel into these repressed parts of our body, our emotionality. And as a rough guide, it can be kind of like 5 seconds for the in-breath, 5 or 6 seconds for the out-breath. But don't worry about counting, just it's a bit of a guide. We don't want to be hyperventilating, just a steady, continuous flow of breath, activating our emotions, activating the body. When that ding comes, we're going to transition into the arch posture. Slowly, slowly, staying present in the body. Feet slightly closer together, bending the knees, and letting the head get heavy, leading the way. And we want to be about 6 to 8 inches off the floor with our hands. Even if you're super flexible, you know, don't go down so far. It's not yoga, it's activating our emotionality. That's what we're doing. That's why we stretch it this particular way. The weight wants to be forward in the balls of the feet. And once you've got the posture, breathing deep through the mouth, feeling the body. Making a bit of sound on that out breath can be good. Making sure we're not locking anywhere. Is the head nice and loose? The arms loose? The shoulders? Keep it going. Staying present. Allowing the back part of the body to start to open. And experiment a little bit, making the breath audible. Feeling into anything that's arising. Okay, there's the ding. Slowly, slowly coming back up. Just as you are, guys. Coming straight into rep number 2, bow posture. The pelvis is forward, the chest is out. We're meeting the world. Really taking it on. Keep that breath going. Can you keep it going continuously throughout? This is it. This is the journey back to the body, to freeing up our emotions, to freeing up that which holds us back. Let's take it on. Deep breaths down into the belly. Seeing if you can get your breath to go down that far. Maybe even a bit of shaking starting to happen bit of spontaneous shaking. This is usually a good sign that things are starting to break up. The tension, the holding is starting to give way. That's what we want. Keep feeling into it, breathing into it. The arms up, and the back behind the ears, staying present. There's the ding. Slowly allowing the arms to come down. Equally as important, feeling the body. Going into the arch. Remember to bring the feet slightly closer together, keeping that bend in the knees with a weight forward. And have a little shake out with the arms. Yes, no with the head. And just imagine that your tailbone is pulling up towards the ceiling. Just to add a little bit of an extra stretch, but keeping that breathing going, feeling into the back, feeling into the legs, any part that's been activated. Letting our body know that we want to be friends, that we don't want to run into the mind, we want to come back, we want to include every aspect of ourselves. It's how we become more functional, healthy, and whole. Doing great, guys. Stick with it. It can be intense for some people, but just feel into the intensity and use the breath to facilitate this. Completely surrendered in the posture. The full top half of the body is just hanging loose. We're not locking or holding anywhere. We're nice and loose. All we have to do is breathe and feel. Feeling is healing. Okay, there's the ding. One vertebrae at a time. Coming back. Transition. Bow posture. You know what to do by now. It can be in these moments where we start to switch off a little bit as we go a little bit more deeper with the postures, and the shaking starts to arise. If it does, and it starts to feel a little bit intense, that's when we can zone out. It's what we've done. It's how we've coped. It's how I coped with everything that was going on by retreating into my mind. But not now. This is a practice, a training, and coming back to the body, learning how to feel, learning how to become embodied, whole. It's the final time we're doing this, so take it on. We're doing good. Just checking we're not holding our breath. If we're holding our breath, it usually means that we've gone into our minds. So many of us breathe shallow. Holding the breath stops us from feeling, but the opposite is also true. Breathing deep increases our level of feeling. And that's what we want. Maybe the mind don't want that, but who we truly are does want that. Okay, guys, for the final 30 seconds, I invite you to just open the eyes and the mouth as wide as we can. Really stretching that jaw and the eyes. We store so much emotion in our face, holding back the tears, holding back the anger. When we're feeling pissed off, we just lock our jaw, squint our eyes, and just keep it all stored inside, so open wide. Well done. Final time into the arch. It's leading the way, getting heavy. You know what to do. Keeping that weight forward, bending the knees, tailbone pulling it up. Nice deep breaths through the mouth. This round, I just invite you to extend that out breath a little bit more release, and make it slightly audible. Breath comes in, you feel the body. Breath goes out, also feeling the body. It can be good to just make that little bit of sound, just to put a bit of noise to that which we store inside. A bit of sound can facilitate the release. So much of what's going on, we don't speak about it, we just sit on it, we squash it, we repress it. Making sound allows us to communicate what's going on for us emotionally. Keep it going, guys. It can be intense. The weight forward, we're doing great. The weight forward, bending the knees, nice and loose, breathing deep. We're almost there. In fact, we are there. Slowly, slowly coming back to center. And we're going to go into the shoulder sequence. So the shoulders as close as we possibly can. So we're not locking or holding the shoulders. The movement is in the shoulders. And this really helps open up the back part of our body, right behind the heart. Breathe into that space between the shoulder blades. Nice bending the knees. If it really is intense, you can maybe just walk around a little bit, but stay present. Stay present. Keep that stretch going. Nice, strong stretch. Pulling the shoulders together. If you're still with us, guys, you're doing great. This can be intense. If you've stuck with us, well done. And if you've had to sit out, still well done for giving it a go. But keep that stretch going. Keep that stretch. Breathing deep. Can you get them another millimeter closer? Can you increase that stretch that little bit more while breathing deep through the mouth and feeling the body? Okay, final 30 seconds coming up. I invite you again to open the mouth as wide as we can and the eyes also. Really allow that jaw to stretch. If you're participating in this, allow it to really open with the eyes wide. Okay, stretch number 2. Pulling the shoulders behind us, really grinding into the shoulder blades. Squeezing as tight as we possibly can. Deep breaths into the belly, and out from the belly. Don't worry if you're not shaking or if not much is happening, just stick with it. That can usually be the mind's defense mechanism, this resistant layer to stop us from feeling. Just stick with it. We're giving ourselves this time, grinding into the shoulder blades, pulling our shoulders back, squeezing as tight as we can. A minute left on the clock, taking it on. Not to the point of physical pain, of course, but we do want to be on the edge of our comfort zone. This is where change happens. This is where transformation happens. This is beyond the mind. This is in the body, creating change on a physical and emotional level. Keep that stretch going. Opening up the chest, the heart, grinding into the shoulder blades. Letting that go. Third stretch, shoulder raises. So nice and loose in the arms, the rest of the body, and the movement is in the shoulders, trying to get the shoulders to touch the earlobes. As I said, it's probably impossible to do that for some people, most people, but that's our intention. Constantly raising the shoulders up as high as we can. Breathing deep, feeling the body. As I said, it's a great remedy, this, for treating anxiety. Taking out some of that tension in the shoulders, allowing us to just finally relax. Come out of our minds and back into our bodies, back into our hearts. As I said, if it's quite intense, you can go for a little walk. Just keep that stretch going. Nice deep breaths into the belly, feeling the body. Wow. Oh. Staying present. If you are moving around the room, that's fine. It's mindful movement. Bioenergetics is also meditation. We have a meditative attitude, a meditative awareness of our body whilst moving. whilst breathing deep, whilst feeling the body. Almost there, guys. Keep it going. Can you get it a little bit higher? Can you bring the shoulders a bit closer towards the ears? Is it possible? We're doing great. Taking it on. Taking it on. Releasing. Okay, maybe just have a quick shake out. And then the final part of the 4-part series workout is lifting the shoulders up as high as we can. And then we just throw them down, making like a grunt-like sound. Maybe sticking the jaw out a little bit. Make your face ugly. Be pissed off like a teenager. Nice high shoulders, throwing it down. Pissed off type of attitude. Feeling into the belly, feeling the body, staying present. So many of us, all we do is smile, but really we're pissed off inside and we're storing lots of stuff deep within the body. Let it out. You don't always have to be smiling and so nice and polite. Fuck that. Okay, guys, just allowing that to come to an end. Just close your eyes and be with your body. Feel into your body. Feeling into the legs, the pelvis, the diaphragm, the heart. Anywhere that you've got feeling, just honing on that feeling. And what we're going to start to do is just feel for a little shake. Starting with the legs, just looking for any trembling or shaking. And if it's not there, just fake it until we make it type of thing. Just allowing the body to do its thing, but the shake is vertical and not side to side. It's a vertical shake. Nice and loose in the head, the neck, the shoulders, everything's just along for the ride. This helps us integrate, but it's still bioenergetic, so we're breathing and feeling the body always. And we're going to do this for 2 dings. So when the ding does come, we're going to continue shaking. And it can help just to put your palms out and stick the pelvis forward if that feels right, but it's not all necessary. And just stimulate a little bit of shaking. Nice and loose in the wrists, the belly. And when the ding comes, we're going to continue shaking. Staying present, just allowing the energy to start to come down back into our bodies. Really emphasize the out breath now. So extend that out breath as much as feels comfortable. Sticking with it, shaking the body, really feeling into our experience. With the eyes closed perhaps, just feeling the body. If you're wondering what that's like, just maybe ask yourself the question, how do I know I've got a body right now whilst I'm not looking at my body? What is it? You can sense it, you can feel it. And the more we take out these layers and levels, the more we can come home back to our being, back to our heart. Okay, guys, so gradually letting that shake come to an end. Ignoring that ding. And if you just like to make your way back to sitting, well done, guys. That was amazing. If you stuck with that, big well done. Yeah, continue to keep feeling the body. It'll help us just process anything which may have come up. But yeah, massive, massive well done.
Sorry, I just unmuted myself and then started choking on my tea. Not good timing. Okay, thank you for that, Alex. I feel like maybe I should have prepared you all a little bit more for a deep experience. But well done, everyone seemed to stick at it. So we're going to take 2 minutes just to sit, just to be, just to allow ourselves to come down, allow ourselves to feel into the body and ground, and just allow whatever's moved there to move. And then we'll move on to the next part of the workshop. So you can have the eyes open or closed. And just notice, how does your body feel now compared to before? That bioenergetics experience. Does it feel clearer? Does your mind feel clearer? Are you feeling any emotions coming up? Whatever your experience is completely okay. Whatever your experience is completely, completely okay. So there's two main elements to this process that me and Alex are sharing over the next weeks. One is what you've just experienced, a deep process of stretching the tissue, the fascia out, and allowing these emotional tensions and tightnesses that are laid down in the body to come up. And then there is a very important second element, which is what I'm going to be speaking mostly about, and what I'm going to be mostly teaching, which is, what do we do with these feelings when they come up? How can we meet and process these energies that have been stuck in our system, possibly since childhood? It's possibly since we were babies. These energies, these old emotional tensions that have been stuck in the system. How can we be with them once we start opening ourselves up in this way? And the answer is one word: love. Now that can sound cheesy, but it's true. And there's another word for love: attention. Attention and love are the same thing. So in order to heal, in order to meet these feelings, these emotions that we were unable to feel as children, in order to bring love to the feelings that didn't get loved when we were children, we need simply to move our attention into them. As the wonderful spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle says, full attention equals full acceptance equals surrender. And you can do this with me now. Place your attention, place your hands up towards the ceiling and place them on your lap. And allow your attention to move into your hands. You don't need to look at your hands. You don't need to move your hands to place your attention in there. And notice how, by me simply saying, move your attention into your hands, the experience of your hands becomes a little bit more vivid within your awareness. You might feel a slight tingling sensations. You might feel this subtle sense of inner energy in the hands. feel your hands from within. And your feet, your legs, your arms. When you place your attention down in your body, down in your hands, you withdraw attention away from that busy thinking mind. And something within you settles down. Now, in the same way as you place your attention within your hands, you can also place your attention within the feelings within your body. Maybe you're experiencing feelings now. Maybe you're experiencing some emotion, some energy in your body. The natural thing to do, the thing we've been conditioned to do since we were little kids, is escape up into the heads, get away from the emotions. That getting away from the feelings, that moving away from the feelings keeps us caught in a loop of unsatisfactoriness or even suffering or even acute suffering. All suffering is caused by the escape from our bodies up into our minds. And so the way to resolve suffering is to bring our attention back down into the body and hold these feelings. In the same way that you would hold a scared or crying child, in the same way that you would hold a child that's experiencing the very feelings that you experience. You hold yourself in that same way. And the way that you do it is simply by the movement of attention. So place your attention in whatever you can feel. Place your attention fully in your body. If you feel a tightness in your heart, you fully feel it. If you feel any tension or tightness in your belly, you fully feel it. The only reason emotions carry on and overwhelm us is because we're in resistance to them. Something within us is not wanting to feel it. When we don't want to feel emotions, they keep going, they grow, they get bigger. When we fully feel them, when we go the opposite direction to what we are conditioned to do and what we feel is the safe thing to do, when we go in the opposite direction and we fully feel the feelings we've been running away from, we come out of resistance to them and they are accepted into us. They're accepted into our hearts. They're accepted into our awareness. And when they're fully accepted, they can actually move through us. They can actually process out of us. Now, we can sometimes feel like a victim to our emotions. We can feel victimized by our emotions, or we can feel victimized by our mind, which can beat us up. We can feel victimized by it. But what I've discovered through 10 years of looking deeply into this stuff is that every single time something happens in your life which brings up an emotional reaction, that is an opportunity for you to heal and for you to awaken. Life is trying to wake us all up. The challenges of life are not here just to beat us up, are not here just to cause us grief, to cause us trouble. The challenges of life are here to wake us up and to heal us in a way. All the past trauma, past experiences you've been through, and the experiences your parents went through, and the experiences their parents went through, this stuff lands in our bodies. Our parents' stuff lands in our bodies. their parent stuff has landed in our bodies. And we're at a time now on this planet where this stuff is coming undone. It needs to be coming undone. And if you're resonating and coming to a workshop like this, it's coming undone through you. Now, if you're in resistance to the process, you will just experience it as suffering. But if you realize that everything that's happening within your life, all the emotions and all the challenges are here to help you go through this awakening process, to help you go through this healing process, to help you liberate everything that your parents and their parents and their parents were unable to liberate. When you realize that, you stop feeling like a victim to life, and you start using every single opportunity, every single challenge as an opportunity to discover what you really, really, in the depths of your soul, want. We all want to be free. We all know this freedom. We know this love. We can feel it. Most people feel something is missing, something isn't quite right. And everybody is looking all around the world for it. In the next big holiday, the next amazing job, the next holiday, the next relationship, what is going to bring me this feeling? What is going to fill this hole? What is going to help me feel like something isn't missing? And it cannot be found in the world. It cannot be found in the world. So we, everyone on this call, we find our way to spirituality. We find our way to healing. We find our way to this awakening journey, whatever you want to call it. And then I've lost my train of thought a little bit. It'll come back. So, like I said at the start, this is a path, this path that Alex and I are presenting to you is a path for spiritual warriors. It's a path for people who really want to go through this shift, who really want to go through this change, who are really dedicated to freedom, who are really dedicated to discovering a deeper dimension to themselves, a deeper dimension to their own being, where fulfillment, happiness is completely causeless. Where you can wake up in the morning and you don't need to do anything to create happiness, because you know and you feel happiness is your nature. Happiness is our nature. Love is our nature. Look at a little child, a baby, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old. When they come out, they are pure joy. They are pure love. What is the difference between them and an adult self who has been caught up in this egoic identity, this thought, emotion made identity? What is the difference? Well, the difference is the child, the 2-year-old, the 1-year-old, the 3-year-old, whatever, hasn't yet developed these layers of emotional trauma stuff. And that hasn't come into a thinking made self in the mind. They haven't identified with this thought thinking made self. They are in their being. They are pure in their being. And we can be like that. We can return to that way of being. Do you remember it? Do you remember what it was like to be a child? If you think back to childhood memories, like, oh my God, it was amazing. I wish I could be a child again. That was so good. They live in this heaven world. We can return to that place. And the way we do it is by unwinding all of the layers of conditioning that have been placed on top of our innocence. All the layers of conditioning that have been placed on top of our true nature, that have been placed on top of our happiness, our peace, and our love, because you can never lose that. You can never, ever lose your happiness. You can never, ever lose your peace. You can never, ever lose your joy. At one stage in my life, I thought I'd lost it. It felt like it was so disappeared. I felt like I had no soul. But there's always this spark that remains. And when you go through this process of healing, and you start to meet all of these feelings, and you start to release these feelings, and you start to come in touch with your being, you realize that you can never, ever lose what you really are. You can never, ever lose the happiness that you really are. You can never, ever lose the love that you really are, because it is what you are. There are just layers of conditioning on top of it. And this is what we're presenting to you here. 2 approaches that complement each other to begin, initiate, and take you through a process of unwinding and undoing conditioning, so that the light of your being starts to really shine through. It's an amazing process. Now, the way I work is very different to Alex in a way. We have very, very aligning views. We've shared similar teachers, and we agree on a lot of stuff. We're very aligned in our approach. But my approach is more, I've been a sitter. I spent hours and hours sitting, sensing into my experience, inquiring into my experience, because I wanted freedom. I had to find freedom. I was suffering so much. I was so needed freedom. I did anything I could to find freedom, and I started finding it within my experience in all these different ways. Through sitting for hours and hours, inquiring into my experience, I started to sense freedom and find my way back to freedom. One approach is through coming into the feelings, coming into the body and meeting the feelings directly, coming down away from that mind, meeting the feelings. When you meet the feelings, you become very present. The thinking mind settles down. The other way is you directly inquire into the nature of the thinking mind. And you directly inquire into, what is it that knows this thinking mind? What is this thinking mind appearing within? Now, my session is next Thursday, same time. We're going to be diving very deeply into both of these approaches. And then the final session will be a combination of bioenergetics, and I'll be there teaching some stuff as well. Mm-hmm. We're going to go to questions in a moment, because it's getting towards the end of the time. We also want to let you know, if you're interested in this stuff, if you're interested in this approach to healing, if you're interested in going through this journey, and you want to make a commitment to really, go for it with this journey, go for it with this process, go for it with this healing. We do have a 10-week journey coming up, which starts a week after this 3-part series. So you're very welcome to join us on that. We'll send you some more information about that tomorrow. And that is, it's a combination. Alex will be running a live bioenergetics class every week, and he will give you an exercise to follow almost every day. throughout the 10 weeks, a different exercise every week. You can have some days off, I'm sure. You'll have to ask Alex. And then I'll be running some live sessions, and you'll get a lesson every week from me, going through these inquiries back into the body and going through these inquiries to come away from the thinking mind, to really either initiate this process of coming deeply into your being, or if you're already within this process, which I imagine many of you are, to really deepen into it. And we fully embrace our humanity. Alex and I, we fully embrace our humanity. Everything is welcome. We want to be human beings. We're normal human beings. And there's something lovely and something awesome about being normal human beings who can have a laugh and whatever. So yeah, hopefully see some of you on there, and hopefully see you all for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a deep journey still to come. So I'm going to pass you back to Alex, and then we're going to take any questions that you guys have. And for the questions, well, I'll pass you back to Alex first. Is there anything that you want to say, mate?
Well, first of all, if we do the 10-week journey, there's no days off. It's full 7 days a week. We're at it now. Yeah, a little bit maybe on the 10-week journey. We're really going to kind of refine this approach. We're going to be working with anxiety. We're going to be working with depression, self-esteem, empowerment, spirituality, that sort of stuff. But also not to negate this course, what we're doing right now. Yeah, we're going to send you out the recording of what we've practiced, and I really encourage you to practice over the next week until we meet again. I'll also be on the call. I think the full recording is going to get sent out, and then just the workout alone is going to be sent out, right, Chris?
Yeah, you'll get the full recording, and we're going to cut the workout that we did today.
Yeah.
So if you want to practice it at home, you can practice just following along with the workout.
Yeah, so I really encourage you to take it on and practice what we've done. If you've got the time, if you've got the space, it's usually good to practice in the morning. I know that's not possible for everyone, but it can be quite energizing. But saying that, I also know people that practice in the evenings, and they feel that they sleep a lot better. They're a lot more relaxed. So I'd be very interested to hear how you get on with that. You can email me, you can email Chris if you have any questions about what we've covered today in this workshop. And just a huge well done. You know, everybody's kind of turned out tonight. It's really is great. So big well done to everyone.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching that workshop. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're feeling the effects of it in your body and in your mind. Just to let you know, if you want to watch the Q&A was recorded. You can watch that by signing up to the workshop series by following the link in the description. You'll get the recording of this workshop you've just watched, and then we'll email you the Zoom links for the next 2 workshops, which will be on the next 2 Thursdays evenings, 6 p.m. UK time. And also, if you want to check out the 10-week journey back to the body, then I will also put that link in the description so you can check out the information page for that. Okay, guys. Yeah, hopefully see you again soon. Thank you for listening.